Hey, hey, welcome back to the Spark Faith podcast. I am Dr. Chris Sargent. Welcome to Mindset Monday. Mondays, we do all things mindset and soul searching, soul seeking. And if you've liked some of my content, please hit that like button and subscribe on YouTube and give me a little review. All you have to do is scroll down to find that on your phone, just to hit review and, you know, give me a little love if you're liking what I'm doing. So today we're going to talk about shalom. Shalom, which is, a lot of us may be familiar with that term as just a greeting, a Jewish greeting of peace. And it has a bigger meaning. And I want to bring a lot more of that bigger meaning to you today. It has more meaning around wholeness and completeness and wellness, right? And so I think right now we've all been through basically 800 days of hard. Now, some of us have had a lot of interesting blessings that have come out of it, and some of us have had some amazingly horrible tragedies. And we've all been through it, and that's that in the professional world, that's known as a shared traumatic reality. And if you haven't heard that term, like, we've all been through it, regardless of who you are and how it all kind of sifted out for you. We've all been through it. And so our body keeps score of what we've been through. We may not think it hits our bodies, but it hits our body, and it mostly hits our nervous system. And our nervous system is, gets buzzed out, and we don't always respond and react the same way we do. We just don't have that shalom, that peace. We don't have any margin in our life, right? Like, we're just bumping up to the top of everything. And so we tend to be a little more irritable. We tend to be a little crabbier. We tend to be less graceful and less forgiving and more reactive. And so all of those things, and all of this has to do with the relationship that we have with our inner thoughts, right? Our inner self and the thoughts that we have about all the things that have happened. And so I want to take just a moment and bring this back into some really interesting Old Testament space in Jeremiah. And this is really short, but I think you'll connect with this. This is very interesting. But Jeremiah wrote this letter to the Israelites had been banished basically to Babylon, and they were going to be there for 70 years. And, right now I feel like we all may feel like exiles, right? Like, we feel like we've been put into this new place and we don't really know what we're doing here, right? It's this post-pandemic world and we don't have an idea of how to handle it. And so one of the things that God told Jeremiah to say was, hey, settle down in a home, plant some gardens, eat the produce, right? Hello, like, just settle down and eat good food. Interesting. Kind of fits what we need right here, right? You can find this at the beginning of Jeremiah 29. Jeremiah 29. And then later, a little bit later, he says, God says, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not disaster, to give you a future and a hope, right? In those days when you pray, I will listen. He hears your prayers right now. When you're in a bad space, like, he is one of the places that we can go, right? If you seek him wholeheartedly, you will find him. And he says, I will be found by you. I will end your captivity and restore your fortunes. I will, and that doesn't always mean money, right? Like, that just can mean our health. It can mean our wholeness. It can mean our shalom. I will gather you out of the nations where I sent you, and I will bring you home again to your own land. And so I just want you to know that you can settle in, whatever that might look like for you. But take a deep breath and start to settle in, because everyone has been through it. Empathy is at an all-time low, compassion, fatigue, everywhere, right? And so the people that we normally count on just don't have the bandwidth. And so now we need a team, right? It's just not the time to go it alone and think that you're going to be okay going this new road in this new land, basically, right? Like exiles in this new land alone. So we don't have to, right? There's plenty of people out there. I want you to take a look at your inner circle of friends. And maybe they've shifted and maybe they've changed and maybe you need to take some inventory of your friends and who's been there and who hasn't. And I'm not saying you need to lose them all, but maybe there's certain friends that are just for a season and there are certain friends that can last a lifetime, right? So maybe you need to tease out who are your friends for the season and who are the friends that are going to last for a long time. Jesus is one for me on my team that is going to last forever, right? And so 4 to 7 people we need on our team. So our inner circle of friends, psychiatrists or psychologists, right? We need some professionals on our team. We need maybe a social worker or a therapist, or maybe we need to find food and shelter, and we need to dive into what our community has to offer, right? Maybe you need a therapist or counselor or pastor or priest, right? A spiritual director or a life coach. And that's where I can plug into your team as a life coach who can help you find the resources that you need, along with learning some of your own mental strategies to help you get through. Last Monday, I talked about the mental strategies, the strategies that I use to keep my soul full. So you can go back and listen to that one. Um, but we need to have 4 certain things right now. We need to have radical grace. And that may mean forgiveness, that may mean acceptance, right? We need to have radical perspective and we need to slow down to see that we need to see perspective. But in order to do that, you have to breathe. You don't know why that person cut you off in traffic today. And it certainly, more than likely, had nothing to do with you, right? So, radical grace, forgiveness, perspective, radical boundaries. You have to slow down to say no. You have to slow down so that you can make margin in your life and start to heal your soul. And saying no, maybe creating that inner circle of friends and saying no to some things that you've always said yes to. Maybe now is not the time that you need to say yes to everything. Now is the time to start really digging in to help heal yourself, right? We need radical rest. And I am saying that with a mirror in front of me because we have to slow down to get good sleep. If we think we can fly into bed at a million miles an hour that we've been going all day and then hurry up and sleep, that's crazy, right? That's what some of us do. Like, okay, I'm ready to sleep now. Okay, sleep. Yeah, we're not doing that. It's not the way our body works. And yes, naps. I took an hour and a half nap yesterday. I don't even know how that happened, but it happened and I came out of it feeling like a different person. And then we need radical adventure and play. You have to slow down to stay in the moments of fun and to seek out. You have to slow down to seek out those moments of play and fun because that is restorative for our soul. And so these 4 points came home to me yesterday at church from Amy Alexander, who runs something called the Refuge Center here in Franklin. And so I just want to shout that out to her, and I will hashtag Refuge Center on this because this is a beautiful, beautiful point from yesterday at church. So I want you to take that in and find some shalom right now. Take a deep breath with me and let it out and find your radical grace, some boundaries, some rest, and some adventure and play this week. And I'd love to hear how you create that. So leave some comments. I want to hear from you. Love you all. Blessings. Bye-bye.